My name is Dawn Monroe. I am a behavioral health counselor at a local public school, and so that is where I chose to do my group session at for this assignment. I conducted my group meeting on February 20th at 4 o'clock, so right after dismissal, and went for about an hour, so I went to right by 5 o'clock in the evening. I utilized a conference room at Albemarle High School, which is where I am based. And though I invited 20 school personnel, I had 8 teachers attend. I already have a rapport and relationship with them due to being the TDT counselor for at-risk students there in the building. I am outsourced in, so I am working with a certain selection of students there, and so the teachers that I invited, they all work with the students that I work with. So I already had that relationship with them, and there was no co-leader present. I invited not just teachers, but the school counselors, administration, and support staff of the students that I work with, but only teachers came. And the purpose of the group was to offer techniques that the school staff can use in the classroom to better meet the behavioral and emotional needs of the specific students that I work with, as well as something that they could just transfer to their class body as a whole. Concerning the group dynamics in the content process, I began the meeting with a round of introductions where they identified who they were and the role that they played. So though that they were all teachers, they all knew each other. If other people had participated, there would have been administration, school counselors, aides, like I said, support staff. But because those people weren't present, I just verbalized that the at-risk students that we work with encompass the whole body of the school, so that they are involved with school counselors, they are involved with administration, though that they were not represented in the meeting. I also went over, after the introductions, I went over that what my role was as TDT counselor, though that I work with all of them, they knew. I just wanted to give a reminder of, I'm not a school counselor. I work specifically with at-risk kids. I went over the guidelines that a student would have to follow and show to be able to qualify for TDT services, just to kind of give them a reminder for the group particularly. And then I also went over and just reviewed very quickly the HIPAA regulations to ensure that no students would be identified by name, because I might work with one student, with one teacher. This teacher over here doesn't need to know that that student has TDT services. So in order to adhere to HIPAA, I just made sure that we did not identify any students by name, but that it was common knowledge and it would be known that all the students being referred to were at risk and receiving TDT services. So I concluded the norms, and members were pretty engaged with that. They did a good job with introductions, and they were pretty involved. I then went into a dyad technique where I had them go into groups of 2, and they kind of just turned their chairs to look at each other to discuss and identify what they thought were the most pressing issues that they saw from the student that was at risk that I worked with there in the classroom. And then after they discussed it amongst themselves, which they seemed to do pretty well, I then had encouraged them to identify it to the group. I did notice how they kind of just piggybacked on each other, and when one would be saying, like, one of the first ones was, the defiance and disrespect for attitude was an issue. That was something they all could agree on, and so then it kind of stopped there. And so then it was a little difficult to draw out something other than just that defiance, what's something else that was seen. So they kind of, there was cohesion, I suppose, but they were all just stuck on that. So then after that was done, I summarized and then connected the underlying themes that were there. Again, like I said, I had to draw out something more than just them all jumping on the bandwagon with that defiance. Afterwards, I handed out a printout, Unhelpful Thinking Styles handout that just engaged in identifying some CBT distorted thinking patterns, and I just engaged in a brief lecture style discussion where I just quickly reviewed those, and then I encouraged members to identify behaviors that their students in the classroom would possibly demonstrate that could be connected to distorted thinking patterns. Members spent most of that time focusing on the negative behaviors versus engaging in actually like mentally connecting the behavior with the distorted thinking pattern. So I had to do a lot of cutting off. I had to do a lot of refocusing the discussion so that we were not just having a discussion on negative behaviors, which was definitely there, but that it's the source of that negative behavior possibly could be this distorted thinking pattern. That's where we want to focus. There was a disconnect in the group, and they really wanted to focus and just kind of vent on negative behaviors, and I had to keep refocusing over here to the distorted thinking patterns. I found that a little frustrating personally, because I felt like they were just seeing the behaviors and they weren't seeing the kid behind the behaviors. So I felt myself getting a little frustrated with that, but I hope that did not come across. Then after that, I went and spent just a few minutes teaching just a couple very brief relaxation techniques, such as breathing exercises and progressive relaxation, muscle relaxation. I had encouraged them to do a role play exercise. They were not for that, so then I just kind of engaged in a just group exercise, and they did fine with that. And then I had them go around and just share concluding thoughts and what they wanted to change or implement. There were no concluding thoughts, and 3, I believe, out of the 6, identified something that they would try to change in the classroom. My self-assessment is that I felt comfortable overall, since it was just the teachers and no admin were present, so I realized I was more comfortable with the teachers. I did speak quickly, which is something that I normally struggle with, so I was aware that I needed to continue working on that. And then I did catch myself getting frustrated when I felt like the discussion was not going where I wanted it to go, concerning focusing on behaviors versus the thinking patterns. So that was something I don't believe that I showed that. I just wanted to be more aware of, don't take it personally, and just, it's the group process, it needs to flow, and if they don't go there, then that's the goal, but I can't force them to go there. I also realized that I needed to utilize silence more effectively, because I talked a lot when it was quiet, and I need to just let myself enjoy the quiet. And then I learned and realized that clear boundaries and focus for discussion is definitely needed for a group to stay on task. And though I'm more comfortable leading groups with kids, it is something that I want to do more of with adults. So that's something that I want to take with me in my group leading future. And I also realized that I need to plan for a group going in multiple directions. So not just having like an outline, and being, prepared for a couple of different things happen, but across the board, anything could happen. How would you handle it? Just having those clear boundaries. But all in all, I enjoyed it, and I enjoy working with those teachers, and I hope you all had a good group experience as well. Thank you.